Chris and Holbrook fired up for Drake Maye's performance there. Mike Reiss, what were your thoughts about his performance on Sunday?
I thought he elevated everyone around him, like we talked about last week. First of all, Tim, Zoe, Alex, great to be with you.
Nice to see you, Mike.
Definitely. I thought he elevated everyone, which is what we wanted to see. I felt like the first 5 weeks, Jacoby had to sort of keep it afloat due to the circumstances around him. I felt like Drake played at a higher level, and everyone looked better as a result of it.
You got a passing game now.
Got a passing game. Reminded me of 93. That's what I keep saying. When we saw Drew Bledsoe,
Yep.
live arm, you're like, that looks different.
Yeah.
Do you like that analogy?
I do from a talent standpoint. You see it. When you see it, you know it. And I think we've seen it with May. That's been my biggest problem for the weeks is, okay, it's so much better. It will be so much better. And I didn't care about the age. You know, young kids play in this league.
Yep.
Like, look how much guys like Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are benefiting from playing. They're getting better every week. I watched that Caleb Williams play this past week. He was great. 4 touchdowns. Hitting the tight end. It was like easy for him. It looked easy for him. And I hope, like, for May, I think it slowed down a little bit for him in the second half. I think things were sped up in the first half. There were some times where he got out of the pocket instead of sitting in there. And he'll clean that up.
So the game itself was not competitive on Sunday, Mike, but did you walk away being encouraged because of the Drake Maye performance?
In that regard, encouraged, Tim.
Yeah.
But in the totality of the team, still big concerns. Can't play that way.
What's your biggest concern?
Yeah.
What is the biggest concern?
Sloppiness, penalties?
They had 9 penalties. I thought 5 of them put in the category of totally avoidable. 3 false starts.
Yep.
Offsides and illegal formation on a kickoff. So really, I look at it
that's
as
unacceptable.
I look at it as like 5 penalties. You know, even though there's 9 total. I mean, the Mapu pass interference was BS. You know.
Yeah.
But so that I think what's my biggest concern in I guess totality. Gerard's got to get him going in the right direction, and is this staff and this structure that they have, I guess I'll say capable of getting them going in the right direction. The talent is what the talent is. I think most people are realistic. They realize this is going to take more than a year, but if you saw improvement over the course of the year, you'd feel better about what you're seeing. I get outside of Drake, I mean, I think we've seen defensive regression.
Yep. Even Gonzalez struggled on Sunday.
Yeah. Offensively, we'll see what it looks like with Drake. We talk about elevating. Maybe we'll see improvement there. Say special teams has probably been the steadiest, but they had, like, that was a little embarrassing. I thought they kicked off to you 6 times and just dominated you on 6 kickoffs.
Yeah.
Like that should hurt. But that's one game. I mean, overall, I think that's probably the lesser on the list. But so I think the biggest concern is in totality. Gerard, this staff, the structure of what they have, are they set up to get this thing going back? Let's see what it looks like.
What did you think of the job that Van Pelt did in terms of the play calling for Drake Maye, and then also the job he did maybe protecting those tackles as well that obviously come in unexperienced?
Yeah. So I thought start with the end of the second quarter.
Yeah.
So I had asked Alex Van Pelt on Thursday about that situation in the Miami game where I thought they made the same mistake they did against Seattle. I thought they were much better, right? So give them credit. Yeah. Give them credit for the 2-minute. If you're going to criticize them 1 week, like they looked smart, capable in that situation. Yeah. I thought that the tackles are tough, Tim, because, like, and I'm curious, Zoe, what you think is, like, I almost would say every snap you have to protect them. Like, these tackles you can't put them out on an island against Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, this week against Josh Allen. But when you do that...
But they do it.
and there are plays, Zoe, where they do it and they actually have a positive play. I think it's probably more like a 50-50 proposition. So the question to me is, do you want to live in that world where it's a 50-50 proposition, or do you just want to do what Bill Belichick would do and say, no matter what, we're going to always help these tackles if that means we're only sending 2 players out, in routes. We're taking the running back out of as an option because he's always going to chip. And I think we learned from Bill over 24 years he would do that.
Yeah.
Tony Gonzalez, we're going to put 3 defenders over you, and if the receiver beats us, we'll live with that.
Yeah.
So maybe they need to be more to the extreme. But the play where Drake got strip sacked, I mean, that was tough to watch. I mean, no help. And I was curious. Does Austin Hooper need to chip there, like the subtle chip, like we saw Hunter Henry
was he
do?
tight?
He was tight. He wasn't on the line, but he was in tight,
Yeah.
similar to Hunter Henry on the touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like subtle, but it was just enough to disrupt Danielle Hunter's rush.
Just a little chip like that could help. It also could screw you up too if you knock them off balance. Because sometimes those guys like to get engaged with the defender, and you chipping them almost knocks it off, and they let them go right in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an art, and you got to coach it up. See, that's coaching.
Yeah.
That's coaching. And I've heard people talk about this West Coast offense. They like to deploy 5 into route. You're not good enough to do that. Receivers aren't good enough. Quarterback, you're just finding out about. And your line, obviously, is not ready to just block 5 on 5. They barely can block 5 on 4. 4 people get to us on a rush. And that's a scary thing. That should never happen.
You and the officiating crew aren't going out for drinks
That guy
either.
sucks.
Oh,
Ron
yeah.
Torbert and his whole crew suck.
Love listening to you. Second week in a row.
Bob
Did you?
agreed
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Bob agreed too. It's bad. We're not good enough to win games just on your own.
Right.
And when you got to fight that crap with zebras, it compounds things for you. Because I think, that opening drive, if Marte Mapu doesn't get flagged there, you're off on 3, down and tight, and you give him 3.
Yeah.
Instead of 7. They end up getting 7. The strip sack with the fumble. Prior to that,
Face mask.
Yeah.
face mask got spun all the way around.
Blatant.
Now
Yeah.
that was about at the 25-30. So I'm going to give you the ball with a 15-yarder.
You're not going to be an empty on second and 10.
1st and 10, you're at the 50.
Yeah.
You got regular and you're probably running the ball.
Yeah.
No, so it forces you to go drop back, and it's just you compound the problem.
Yeah.
Is what it does. And you got 8 guys out there in the field. Not one person looked at the ball carrier.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was a receiver and somebody grabbed their face mask or a lineman accidentally twisting somebody around. It's right there in the open.
Yeah.
The whole stadium saw it. They groaned. The game moves too fast for some of these crews.
I think that's
I
fair.
don't want to see that crew again.
I would say, whenever we talk about officiating, I think the first thing is it's always good to just say, they didn't lose the game because of that.
Absolutely, 100%.
But also, it's a hard job, right? I think
you're the pool reporter, so you go in there and be nice to these guys.
Look, it's
What,
a
they
hard
give you
job.
a sandwich in there? They do have a nice spread, don't they?
hang out with Ron, talk about
yeah.
Harvard law.
Make a
And you
sandwich.
see what they do for them. They get like the Sopranos meat platter, like the deli platter.
Oh, yeah?
They make sandwiches.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So they didn't lose because of it. It's a hard job.
It is a hard job.
And I feel like usually the missed calls or the ticky-tack calls generally even out over the course of a game. Like they missed Kyle Duggar with a blatant trip of Joe Mixon.
Right.
But I thought in this game, it felt like much more adversity to overcome, and they're not good enough, to Zoe's point, to do that. And the one critique I would say for the officials and trying to be measured and fair, it's almost insulting to the intelligence of the viewer when on the Mapu DPI, one guy throws a flag or one official throws a flag, and the other throws it just to almost sell it, right? And it's such a borderline call, and you realize how preposterous that mechanical part of the officiating is when on the Antonio Gibson play, no one
Nothing
throws it.
found, yeah.
But if one of them threw it,
Right.
2 of them might, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you see it, throw it. Don't need to sell it, would be my one critique, if that makes sense.
Sure.
All right, Mike, before we get to some of these phone calls, I wanted to get your 3 things.
All right. Let's go. Let's see what you guys think.
Yeah.
All right, we'll rip through them. We talked about number 1, quarterback, Drake Maye. I think his mobility, athleticism, ability to extend plays is the best thing that the Patriots have going for them right now. Kendrick Bourne in the locker room after the game called it Patrick Mahomes-esque. Obviously, we're not comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, but modern era quarterback and how that challenges the defense.
Yeah.
Like the play to Hunter Henry late third quarter where he escapes the pocket, keeps his head up, body, that to me, build off of that, you got a chance. That's number one.
And he said we got to stay awake too because the ball could come at any time with this kid.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great.
Number two, as much as Maye is the top storyline, and I understand why, let's get to the defense and some of the issues there. First thing I did in reviewing the game, the 2 long running plays, what's the common thread? Not to pin it on one player because it's far from one player, but they're having inside linebacker issues. Raekwon McMillan out of his gap twice, or didn't play his leverage well. Just start trying to learn from what Bill Belichick used to teach about with the defense. So I just keeping an eye on that inside linebacker spot. If they can live with it, but they missed Jawan Bentley in a bad way.
Yeah, I didn't realize how important he was.
Yeah, so that's
kind of took him for granted.
That's number 2. Let's not overlook the defense. And I thought they were put in tough spots, field position wise, and we talked about some of the tough breaks with the calls. And number 3, I go big picture, Tim. I think yesterday's move where they released Nick Leverett, I think opens up a broader discussion on what they did in the offseason. Talking about Elliot Wolf, Executive Vice President of Player Personnel, on the offensive line. Look, there were not a lot of good players to sign. So that's the context. That's important context. But your 2 main choices, Chuks Okorafor, left the team.
12 snaps,
Left the team. And your backup center, who you need because your starting center is not healthy, was leapfrogged by a player that was on the Raiders practice squad this past week.
That was your best offensive lineman on Sunday.
And something's not right there. You can't sell me that Nick Leverett was released purely because of his play. They need more offensive linemen. So something where free agency's tough. You don't know these players. You're not with them like a draft pick where you're with them from the start and you know what makes their heart tick and all that stuff. But look, Elliott measured it out, and his 2 picks, those are big misses, even if they're backups, right? They were going to be 2 of your top 8 linemen, and they're not just playing. They're not even on your team anymore, and I think it's fair, in my opinion, to hold that to account. It's going to take more than a year, and I'm with you on all that, but to me, that's a storyline just based on the Nick Leverett release. It's a tough one.
Have you heard anything on Cole Strange and how close he is to potentially coming back here?
So I talked to him in the locker room a little bit last week just to check in on him, and I don't think it's imminent. Now that can always change. I don't think it's imminent, but it felt like it was moving in the right direction.
Plan. Yeah, there's a plan.
Yeah, right? and I think that David's going to help him. David Andrews is going to go get his surgery, and then his plan is to come back and help him work at center a little bit. So Tim, I would say even if he starts to practice, you still have 21 days, and he's going to need a little time. So I would think at least multiple weeks before you would see him on the game field. Let's see what it looks like on practice. What'd you think of the 3? Are those fair 3?
I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put your 3 down. Bedard's on later. We won't take your segment.
Yes.
What was the play or maybe the drive that stood out to you most in terms of Drake Maye's play on Sunday?
End of the second quarter.
Yeah.
I thought they managed it well. I think it was 36 seconds left. And it's second. You're thinking it's going to be the same thing that they did before because they ran for 2 yards with Jermichael Hasty at 59 seconds. Clock's down to 36 seconds. And they're at their own 18-yard line, Tim. So you're if they don't hit on this second down play, they're probably just going into halftime, not making the same mistake they did against Seattle week 2, against Miami week 5. And Drake sort of slings it out to Demario Douglas, catch and run 22 yards. And Tim, they just went. And that to me looked like, again, not comparing Drake to Tom Brady, but we saw high-level football for 18 years there with Tom.
You've already compared him to
I knew you were going to do that.
Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady.
And Patrick Mahomes.
Less than a half hour.
Are we going to get a headline on the website?
Oh, there's clickbait right there. Ralph's already clipped it.
Yep. Jim, don't kill me like that, all right? All right.
As long as you're not comparing him to Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones, it's a win. I'll take it. I'll take it.
That was my biggest takeaway, too, from the game. Like, when a bleep was hitting the fan, I watched him.
Yeah.
And I watched who talked to him. I watched him put the helmet down, talk to the coaches, sit there, yes, get a drink of water, talk to players. There wasn't the, gotta hang my head. Oh, I gotta take 10 deep breaths, breathing exercises. The kids, and to what Bourne said, he's got a little bit of an aura about him.
Yeah. And Mayo said something yesterday. I don't know if you guys talked about it. That I see it too. He compared his personality, not carbon copy, but to Gronk.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about that?
I know that.
Or did you
6
say
weeks
that?
ago.
Yeah. He's got a playfulness and like the tail, like the dog, the tail's wagging. Like it's like Kendrick Bourne in a way.
I was waiting. I was sitting down there with Stacey waiting to do Gerard for the pregame radio interview, and he came through the door. I'd get there about 4 hours prior. He came in 3 hours prior. He's got his backpack on. He's like, "What's up? Ready to go? Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. I love the energy. I love the kids' energy. Simple. Keep it simple.
Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.